Welcome to Want to Franchise Your Business? Intro to State and Federal Franchise Laws.
Hello and welcome to Franchising Your Business, Intro to State and Federal Franchise Laws with attorney Tim Pickwell. Tim has had a private law practice representing national and international restaurant, retail, distribution, and fitness studio franchise clients with an emphasis on franchise registration, disclosure, and relationship issues. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist. I'm very excited about today's episode. First of all, Tim, good to see you. Welcome back.
Good to see you, Kevin. Thank you.
And we have a special guest today. Our guest is one of Tim's most successful clients, Alison Beardsley, the founder of the highly successful Club Pilates, which has over 1,200 franchised studios across the United States and is the largest chain of Pilates studios in the world. Alison recently started a new concept, the red light method. Tim has been her franchise attorney on both projects. Alison graduated from San Diego State University in 2006 with a degree in kinesiology and founded her first Pilates studio in 2007. And by 2012, had opened 2 other Club Pilates studios and was thinking about franchising. So Alison, first of all, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys.
So what caused your interest in franchising and what led you to hire Tim?
It was a very organic process. I didn't really know anything about franchising at the time. So I just knew that people were coming to Club Pilates in San Diego. They were doing my teacher training. Then they were moving back to wherever they're from, like Michigan or Wisconsin. And they were like, I want to open Club Pilates. And I was like, I want you to open Club Pilates. And so then I learned the difference between a license and a franchise. And then I stumbled upon Mr. Pickwell through some quite comical events. I thought it was pretty funny how I ended up with him. I contacted another franchisor from another fitness studio, and he's like, why don't you reach out to Tim Pickwell? And Tim Pickwell didn't have a website at the time. So after I called him, do you remember that, Tim?
I did. And I remember you saying that you couldn't find it.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. So this is in the olden days. This is in the early 2000s. So anyways, I found him and I knew it in an instant. He was the franchise attorney for me. I had literally interviewed like 20 and I couldn't even understand the words they were saying. They spoke in like old English. So Tim actually is easy to communicate with and his agreements are all like, I can read them with my reading level.
My reading level.
I was going to say 5th grade reading level and then I censored myself.
I think Alison's glossing over her process. She rigorously interviewed dozens of franchise attorneys. And I remember her telling me she even talked to a firm that had never done a franchise disclosure document and they wanted $100,000. So Alison knew how to shop around and kick the wheels before she bought something.
I did. And then as soon as I met Tim, it was perfect. So he was able to explain everything to us and do it in a very fair way that just was something that I could take as a going from that step of just a regular single multiple unit owner to then franchising. So,
and Tim, what did you think of Alison's chances of success when she first walked through the door?
I really didn't know what to think. She and her husband, recently retired Marine fighter pilot who'd seen combat in Afghanistan. And when I asked them a question, I realized, for better or worse, they had neither one of them ever spent a day in corporate America. And I think that ended up being a strong suit because they didn't feel a need to have a back office right off the bat and overhead and just ran the thing really lean. And Alison did everything herself, every part of the business until she had got to a certain size and would farm it out. But I really didn't know what to think, but turned out very
okay.
Good. Yeah.
Was I a rare elusive unicorn, Tim? So.
I tell people I actually had another couple at the same time. They were much more mature and very successful business people, and they had a good concept. And if I had to pick the Beardsleys or this other couple, I think I would have gone with them. And they ended up hiring a consultant, then bringing him on, then getting the wrong franchisee and going down a couple of wrong paths and failed. Called it quits after 3 years. You, on the other hand, very successful story. Even though this was back in the days of sign here sticky notes, we would print out the documents for Alison to sign with their franchisees and had a parade of Pilates instructors in my conference room occasionally. And then Alison would come back 2 weeks later with a franchise agreement with some stains on it, say, sorry, we signed this one in the spa, spilled a little wine.
Or there'd be like oil stains on it too, because we were all like oiled up from the spa.
So
you're all oiled up.
So we would file the franchise agreements for Alison and all the other paperwork, and she just kept growing and kept registering her all across the country. It was a beautiful success story. I know, Kevin, in a prior episode, we discussed the accidental or inadvertent franchise. And I know that Alison had one of those that we had to clean up with the state of California, but there's a process for that. And we got that fixed. And the statute of limitations has long since expired. So it's all good.
Yeah, my first one was a license agreement. And then I learned if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So that's when we converted.
So Alison, after you left San Diego State with your degree, what did you envision being a business owner? Did you envision eventually franchising? I mean, how much was this planned out, or how much was just off the cuff, rolling with the punches sort of thing?
Yeah. So San Diego State it took me about 8 years to get my bachelor's degree because I was working full time. So I wasn't like on the 4-year track, and I was already kind of being an entrepreneur as I was kind of running my own business as a trainer. And so I opened the first one. I was 6 months pregnant with my son. So I was 6 months pregnant, and this was December of 2007. And so I just did some basic math of like what percentage the gym takes. And then I found this like warehouse space on the I-5 in San Diego, like right by the first ever, it was a Price Club. Now it's a Costco. And so it was just a very central location, and it was kind of hard to find in like a random kind of industrial business park. And so we signed the lease on a Friday, opened on a Monday, and then all my people came. And so I was able to work a lot less and then do better. But it wasn't until the economy tanked in 2008 that we adapted the business model to be affordable Pilates for people, because all my people were losing their jobs and stuff. So it was then that we really exploded and went gangbusters. And once my people started approaching me saying they wanted to open Club Pilates, that's when I knew that it was going to be a huge success. And I did this crazy woo-woo thing that I confess is I got a piece of paper and I wrote on one side what my goal was. And my goal was that Club Pilates would be the largest Pilates company in the world. And I flipped it over and I wrote why I know it's going to happen. And it's all happened. So it's super powerful for entrepreneurs if they're doing things, I think, with the right spirit and heart, and like truly like not being greedy capitalists, like lining their pockets and gouging their franchisees. It's kind of not that hard. Just be a good person.
I just remember part of the process of making the franchise agreement, the franchise disclosure document, you have to disclose estimated initial investment and potential costs. And I remember sitting with Alison and saying, okay, walk in the studio, is there going to be a counter and a point of sale system, like a restaurant has or something? No. I said, well, are people going to be able to buy Club Pilates t-shirts? No, it's going to be clean and simple. And I said, well, what if they want to walk in and schedule a class? She said, then they can use their phone and download an app, MindBody, and but she was just, the concept was just stripped down, streamlined, cement floor, economical, good workout.
Was that a goal of yours from the start, to keep it lean?
Oh yeah, that's always my goal. Tim knows me. I'm probably the leanest franchisor in the universe. Like all my franchisees right now with Red Light Method, they get $500,000 worth of equipment for under 200 grand, but our build out's under 50. Like we're doing way better than we did in the first 7 years with Club Pilates and the first 2 years with Red Light Method. So it's really exciting. But no, I still run a lean operation, super simple. Just got to keep it simple. And that's one thing right now, dealing with some real estate brokers who keep trying to push my franchisees into 10-year leases and $15,000 a month rent in Class A. And it's like, no. I just opened up Reno and I'm in a flex space, 3 blocks, like 2-minute drive from the high-end retail. And my rent and overhead is under $3,000 a month. And we're already 350 members. And we opened up exactly a month ago on February 17th. So why pay the $10,000 a month rent when I can go right around the corner and pay $3,000 a month and then help my franchisees have better margins? So I'm a huge fan of Class B and flex spaces, and I call them unicorn flex spaces. It has to be a place where like a kids dance center might be, or a kids karate center or something, right, where parents are willing to take their children. It's a safer environment. So I've never signed a 10-year lease, and I've never really gone into Class A retail with any of my Club Pilates or my Red Light Methods. And so I really kind of get mama bear with my franchisees, and not like I had to get mama bear on Friday with them just because I'm not going to let them sign that, or I'm going to have lots of documentation of being like, hey, I highly advise against this. Do not sign a 10-year lease. Like, do not. And then see, Tim trained me well, hunt him.
Document.
Yes, document.
Attorneys do love paper.
Mm-hmm.
So how big was Club Pilates when you sold?
We had about 40 open, and I forget how many were in development. Tim probably knows better than me. I feel like we had just hit the 100 marker or so, but I
That's
don't
about right. Yep.
And what was the process like of selling? How was that decision made? What did it look like? How did you go about it? Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
It was interesting. Like Tim said, I went from like waitress, Pilates instructor to CEO of franchise company. So I didn't really know anything about franchising. I was just like, ready, fire, now figure it out. Here we go. One day I got a call from the owner and the founder of LA Fitness. And he was like, I want to buy your business. And I was like, oh, I was like, and then I remember like consulting with my counsel and being like, I can sell. And they're like, yeah. And you could like semi-retire. And I'm like, ooh. And so that's what led the process. So after that call, we decided to move away from San Diego. We moved to Incline Village, Nevada. So we became California refugees in 2014 because we were able to allocate 90% of the sale to Nevada and only 10% to California, which is awesome because Nevada, there's no state income tax. So we moved to Incline, found a broker, listed the business, and within 9 months it was sold, which is really fast for a business. So, and then that's when I sold it to Anthony Geisler, who then Club Pilates was the first of his portfolio in Expo. And to this day, Club Pilates is still the best performing in the portfolio.
If I may remind Alison, one, you're selling yourself short. You know what you're doing in business, but yes,
yeah.
you were able to sell the business because your franchise agreement had all sorts of provisions permitting the franchisor to assign, sell, move on, do whatever. So we try to look ahead and put in an exit strategy for the franchise owner.
That's really nice forward thinking for when that opportunity comes up, if it does.
I always kept in touch with Tim too, even in my 7 years of retirement. So, because he's the best franchise lawyer in the universe.
And well, thank you very much. And then somehow Alison ended up in Bentonville, Arkansas, where she started the first red light.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, move on to talking about the new concept. So can you kind of, walk us through that and what it's looking like and how that's going?
Yeah. So Bentonville, Arkansas in 2021, we kind of decided to become sheep farmers. We moved. Yeah. So we moved and we had acreage and sheeps and chickens and we were growing stuff. But as soon as we got to our new home in the Ozark, a lot of our friends from Arizona called and were like, oh, we all tested positive. And like within like 48 hours, I was like, oh, like I had just terrible fever and body aches, and it just seemed to last forever. It was like going on 8 weeks, and I just didn't have my energy. At her clinic, she charges $3,000 to $5,000 a month for these, and normally like one treatment's like $200 at the lowest. And so our members can kind of come daily or 30 times a month for $199, which is crazy. So I was like, I got to do the same thing I did with Club Pilates, but with this. And so with all that new energy I got from the red light, we opened up the first red light method. It started out as Red Light Gym, and 10 months later we rebranded it, but it's 25 minutes of a medical grade red light therapy spa treatment using the only FDA cleared body contouring wrap. It's a $40,000 red light system, so it's normally a very expensive treatment. After that, the clinical trials, you move to whole body vibration. So they move to the power plate for 10 to 15 minutes. And then they move to the reformer for 15 minutes to 25 minutes. So we have a very flexible model based on the real estate cost in your area and based on the size. We can make the classes express classes, which requires a much smaller square footage, or we can offer longer classes, which requires more square footage. So it's a very flexible build out. We can fit in 1,200 square feet or 4,000 square feet based on the demographics in the area. So I learned a lot from my first rodeo with Club Pilates and Expo and everything on how to set everything up proper. So it's really cool to see Red Light Method 2.0. But we started franchising actually exactly a year ago today. It was March 17th. Our FDD went live last year, and we have 58 territories sold. And we have 3 opened and 5 more are in pre-sales. So Cincinnati just went into pre-sales 4 days ago, and she's already at 18 members, our Cincinnati franchisee, which is awesome. So like Reno, we opened up with 315 members and over 50,000 in sales from day one. So it's awesome. I can't believe it. Like even Club Pilates that opened up 6 months ago are opening up with 150 members. So the fact that we're actually opening up with like Tucson's opening up in April and she's already at like 240. Yeah. Fayetteville just opened up and they're they're at about 250 right now, but they opened up just over 200. But Arkansas is a much tougher demographic. So that's what I was like, man, guys, if I could get this thing going in Arkansas and the demographics are tough, imagine how it's going to do out west. And that's
or even Chicago, or
yes,
like bigger cities. Yeah.
Wow,
Where people, because I mean, there's a lot of buzz about red light therapy, and you hear about it a lot, and you're gonna hear about it a lot more in a big city than you would think in Fayetteville, Arkansas. But hey, it's if you can, like you said, if you can do that there, the world is your oyster.
Exactly. Our Bentonville location is at 450 members, and it's 2.5 years old. So it's an awesome business model. We can hold double the capacity of Club Pilates. The overhead's way less because we don't have instructors. All of our fitness classes are digitally taught. And I'm actually really excited if there are 08 vibes in the future. I don't know, because I'm used to starting things in a 08 downed thing. So if we are going into another 08, I don't know, but I'm super excited about that because we over deliver on our value, and it's amazing. So when people start pulling back on, like, I'm not getting my facial, I'm not getting my massage or my personal trainer, Red Light Method is all of that for the cost of like one massage a month.
Yeah, I remember the 2008 recession. I had several restaurant clients, large chains, go bankrupt. All my small fitness studio clients thrived, learned that people in a recession will still take care of their bodies. It was very educational.
My members were like, oh, you could take my house and you can take my car, but you can't take my health and fitness. And I was like, wow. And then we would do plays on things, like we did our economic stimulus package. And so we would be like, oh, 10 classes for $100. We went crazy in a downed economy. So it was awesome.
Well, we won't hope for that.
No, I wouldn't mind. Like, I don't want an 08 thing. I just kind of like the way it's like I could get like awesome real estate for super affordable. And then people are more conscious on where their dollars go and they see what a great value. So that's all. I'm not pushing for a bad 08.
Not to relive any bad memories, but so going into the process of creating your franchise disclosure document this time around, what did you know now that you had learned?
Okay. So I learned that I needed to up my royalties because I tend to be extremely generous. And so I was running things on the initial franchise fee and thinking like, oh, 2% royalty. So I was being but I wasn't really offering much support with Club Pilates. So now we have a full team of support and I have a whole awesome staff and team. But I also just learned mainly with Tim's guidance on how to set things up proper, like not give away the farm, because I tend to like to give away the farm.
Yeah,
so.
You've been trying. Some of those deals are.
I know.
Well, now you have a farm. You have a farm. You have a literal farm to give away too, if you really wanted to.
Oh yeah, no, I already sold the farm. We moved back out west.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. We're just 20 minutes from Tahoe now. I'm not into ticks and chiggers and humidity, so it's
ticks, chiggers, and humidity.
Yeah, we're happy to be back. Tim really streamlines the FDD process. He provides a whole questionnaire, and then it just took me like half a day to answer it once I finally sat down and did it. I just have a hard time sometimes sitting down and doing work, so I like to get him on the phone and talk at him.
She's a verbal communicator.
I'm a verbal communicator. My emails are like, it takes a special skill to understand what my emails say. So
to decipher them, you need to speak Alison to English dictionary. You need handy. Yeah.
And
really,
go ahead.
I was just going to say a funny story it's like my emails are like I text them almost. And so I used ChatGPT the other day for one of my franchisees. And he's like, oh, Alison, I love your email with ChatGPT. So that was funny because it was all polished and pretty.
That's a great use for ChatGPT right there, is email.
So I'm sitting here in San Diego, and Alison is threatening to sell 2 franchises in the area. So I'll look forward to that. But we just got registered in California, so that's a huge thing.
We have 3 already signed in San Diego, Tim. So now I'm a little more fancy now. My director of operations, she actually sends out the DocuSign for me. So Tim doesn't have to be my back office anymore, but he did teach me where to highlight it.
Moving on up.
I know, I'm saving lots of money because I'm like, what?
Well, that's awesome. We'll have to do a follow-up after you sell some more things, and we'll see how things are going for you. Thank you all for tuning into Franchising Your Business, Intro to State and Federal Franchise Laws with attorney Tim Pickwell. To connect with Tim, visit pickwelllaw.com, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review. Tim, as always, it's great to see you. Alison, thanks so much for being here and walking us through this. It was really great to hear your story, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Alison.
It's all thanks to Mr. Pickwell, my
No
amazing
harms.
franchise lawyer.
Well, you guys have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Take care, guys.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.